Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the One Step Better Business Podcast with Mike and with Matt. Hopefully, you all are having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about something fun, something that is maybe the most fun thing about having an accounting firm, and that's growing the thing. So, we're going to talk about scale. And are you quite ready for it? Big topic of conversation in the accounting firm space. Do I really want to grow this thing, or am I just happy with where we're at? So we're going to talk about that, Matt, today. But before we do that, we got a fun little game. Everybody has seen these little, I don't know what they're called, little graphics. You have to, you get a limited budget. You have to pick certain things. And so today we're going to go with some of our clients, some just regular food stuff. So you got $9 to spend, Matt. You get to pick an entree, a side, and a dessert. So from your entree column, you got ribs from the glorious Cozy Corner. You got pulled pork from One and Only Barbecue, some tacos from Taco and Ganas, or just a normal Chick-fil-A sandwich or a Taco Bell taco.
Very, very clear answer here, Mike. You're going to One and Only pulled pork sandwich.
Oh, that's what I was going to do too. All right. We might be exactly the same. One and Only's got good barbecue.
It does.
All right. As your side, are you
going to overpay for my side?
Okay. So all right. Well, we'll see how this goes. For your side, are you going to go Central Barbecue's mac and cheese, which is really good?
I can't. I don't have, well, I could, but I wouldn't be able to get dessert.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either because then I'm out of money. Yeah. Barbecue nachos from Hog Wild, who claims that they are the original maker of barbecue nachos.
In Memphis about that. I think you could ask a couple different people. I think
you might get some opinions.
Walker, Germantown Commissary has some claims, and I know Ernie thinks it's him, and there's a whole, I mean, I think Roger may throw his hand in the ring there. So there's a lot of people in that.
To be fair, we are not the definitive source.
I will try and eat them all.
Yeah.
That's not my number two.
Yeah. I'll pick the best, not necessarily who invented them.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going with Chick-fil-A fries.
Well, you didn't even let me get there, man.
Okay. My bad.
Third option is One and Only coleslaw, which is good, but I'm not spending my money there.
You love mayonnaise, Mike. You know that.
You're going Chick-fil-A fries.
Yeah, easy.
For the $1, you get just some normal potato. I'm going the $1 normal potato chips.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good call with the sandwich.
So I spent $5. I got 4 left, which gives me my money for my dessert. So you can go
You gotta go first. You gotta go first.
Okay. One and Only Barbecue, nothing bundt cakes, Donald's Donuts, a chocolate chip cookie, or cosmic brownies. I'm going straight to the bundt cake place, and I'm getting a lemon bundt cake.
I'm going donut.
You got money left.
I don't think so.
1, 2, 5, 4.
So I spent too much. It's a question.
Oh yeah. You're good.
4,
you're good. You're
2,
good.
and 3.
My math is mathing. Yeah.
I think I'm right. I'm like, wait, did I do bad math?
Oh, you're going a donut, really?
I mean, I could have. Can I get like a cookie and a half?
Can I get 2 brownies?
That's a whole box. That's right. On the picture, it's a whole box. And so I'm just saying I can get a whole box of cosmic brownies.
My $9 is going to go to One and Only pulled pork. I'm going to get a bag of chips and then go straight to the bundt cake.
I don't think you're bad either way.
But I'll be honest with you, I could go Cozy Corner ribs. I could borrow some money from my friends and get some Central Barbecue mac.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here.
There's a lot of good stuff.
But yeah, I'm going sandwich. You know, it's always good, Memphis style. I probably wouldn't put the slaw on it, but I would, I'd be okay.
You talk about I don't like mayonnaise, and you're absolutely right. I do eat coleslaw with barbecue.
That makes no sense, Mike.
It is what it is. All right. Are you ready to scale? Or are you just tired of your current ceiling? Here's the dilemma that we get a lot of times. A firm owner calls up, talks to us, email, whatever it is. And they want to know a little bit about the story. Hey, I think I want to grow this thing. Or what does it take to grow? How do I grow? And a lot of times the question is a little bit premature because you really have to think through, am I willing to do the things necessary to actually grow before I start to figure out how I'm going to grow this thing?
Very much so. How much brain damage do you want along the way? A little bit. When I think about growing the firm, for me, in the beginning, the growth was necessity, right? It was, I have to pay my mortgage and all the things. As I've grown now, it's the what's possible. And that becomes a little more abstract and harder for me to get my hands around. I think through some of our big pivot points or big momentum where we've seen, where we kind of plateau out a couple of times, then you'll end up spiking up with some growth over the years. And what I've found is it's, in my mind, it was because we had a lot more clear intentions of where we were trying to go. I think when we're just trying to grow for growth's sake, sometimes it's like, well, I said some yes to some things I shouldn't have. I really didn't think about it. But as we've gotten more intentional, I feel like we've actually seen better results.
And I would also say that a lot of the growth here has been out of the necessity to figure out current problem, not necessarily trying to think strategically way far in advance.
Correct.
Now you get to a point where it's like, as the owner, I can only do so much work. My next step is either to be content with where things are and the work that I'm doing, or I'm going to have to figure out, maybe I have to add somebody to the team. Like there's a necessity that comes with that. And it's this next stair step. And maybe you add somebody to the team and you're growing together and you get to a limit to where we can both only do so much work. So
Yep.
what's that next step?
Yeah. I think back through, my biggest roadblocks have always been my limitation on who we have on our team. Or really haven't really ever felt like we have a limitation on finding new clients. That part
Yeah.
hasn't really been hard. There's always work to be done. Like we know that. We still know that today, but you're limited by your team's, the team's ability to be at the right place at the right time, and your ability to be willing to invest way before you think you need to. So I think back to our first, when we first hired our first salesperson in 2000, when we hired Rick, it was in my mind was I can't continue to be the accountant and be the salesperson and be the bookkeeper and be the payroll person and be the admin. And so it was the staggered step of, well, I can do this because if that works great, it's going to pay for itself. And it doesn't. My pot commitment was a lot left. Paying a salary for a salesperson versus a salary for a CPA or manager or whatever would have cost me a dramatic difference. And the bet was better, I thought, of hiring a salesperson than anything. But as we've grown, the next big step for me was, we struggled with this a lot, which was trying to find and develop managers to outpace our ability to grow. Because if we were adding 35 net new clients a year, which we were doing at the time, that means in 18 months, we have to have a fully onboarded manager. So you're hiring them a year and a half, 2 years before you need them. And then you'd have one that was really, you'd hire one and that one didn't really work out that great, or we didn't do a great job of onboarding them or training them or developing them because we didn't have those systems in place. So then we get back to 0 or 1 or whatever that number was. Well, now I'm 3 years out again from needing it. So I need to go hire even faster and be able to develop faster. And you end up, I felt like I constantly was kind of living behind that I was on that hamster wheel a lot, just because I could not get ahead of that, because I was still in the weeds doing the work, which means I was still having to manage the client production. We didn't have enough people to help develop the people. And then you turn that into a problem of, okay, it's a compounded problem now. Instead of we were net 35 last year, we're net 35 this year. Now we're up net 70. I'm 2 managers down and I'm 2 years away from having everybody on the team I need to have. And those were just kind of those constant cycles. And there's a lot of firms that are in that stage. And I think back, it was probably we were at the $750 million in revenue stage. And that was just a constant wheel. We didn't have enough budget, time, capacity to spend the time developing people. And we weren't willing to turn off the sales funnel. So it was just this catch-22 we were constantly in. The next big pivot point after we finally, we intentionally just kept developing folks, but also constantly recruiting and then taking the profit hit, because it really was just a profit hit.
It was a investment though.
It was, but it was also oh God, I can't do all this work and I'm stuck. This is a ceiling I can't get past. So I got this figured out. So like you said earlier, was like some of our growth was necessity of having to overcome problems. And so we had to invest in people. We had to make sure that we had a more tightened hiring process. We had to do a better job and be more intentional with development, instead of just like, I'm going to throw as much chum on as I can. And that was hard.
It was interesting because at that stair step, it was, I need to get more bodies and seats to do work.
Correct.
There was never a thought of, I need to get bodies and seats so that I can grow them into leaders that are going to be in the firm for 40 years.
Nope.
It was, I got to get stuff done.
Correct.
And the easy part, where I think a lot of owners kind of tend to move into, is if I can hire that salesperson and have that constant flow of new work, new revenue, then I can flex in and out of the operations side a lot easier than the sales. That's why we've always said, never, ever, ever throttle sales.
Ever.
There's way too many levers to pull to go to your salesperson and say, I need you to slow down.
Yeah, it allows us to be really picky with our clients. It allows us to hold our clients accountable. Allows us to justify fees increases because we have limited capacity. But all those things are part of a mindset shift of the owner going, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep growing. It can't just be, well, if that salesperson doesn't work out, well, it'll be okay. I'll go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
It was no, we're going to have a better client list, which means we have to invest in sales. And then we have to invest in the people because we're going to have the work for them to do. So it was very like, it was not an option to turn it off.
That mindset is really, I own a business. It's not that I am a CPA. I am an accountant. No, it's I own an accounting firm. I have to operate like a business owner.
Correct.
I have to think longer, wider, and make plans to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve.
Yep.
And that is a big shift. I mean, that's a big change.
Yep. And there's firms out there today, when they look at, like, when they think of scaling and growth, I'm always curious about what their mindset set is, other than more, or is it more money? Is it, what are you trying to grow? Are you intentional with your growth? I think what we've done really, really well is that there are so many things for us to always be improving, that growth is one of those things. It's not the only thing, but it's like, okay, we're going to work on all these things at the same time. That's a good and bad thing. And so you end up, I don't know if I always have the end in mind as much as I wish I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's uncommon though, because I think a lot of firm owners that are at that place where it's like, all right, what is the next step? Because I can't, it's out of the same necessity. A lot of times it is, I am tired of all of the stuff hitting my plate. I need help. I want to bring somebody else on. It can't all come to me. I'm getting a little bit burnt out.
Yeah. And that happens, I think, at a couple different layers. And so, like, I think back early on, I had, a team of 10, and all 10 people were basically reporting to me. I had basically oversight on every team. I had direct client touch. I think back, it was probably 2000. It's probably been 12, 13 years ago now. I remember in our financial review group, we have a group of the 11 firms that we've been hanging out with for years. I remember going, I can't do this anymore. I'm stuck. I can't find the right manager, and I can't grow fast. I'm growing too fast for the manager development, and not as fast as I want to. And so it was kind of like I was at wit's end, and it was the burnout factor going, either this has to get fixed, or
you got to get to that critical mass point.
Yeah.
Where it's not all hitting my shoulders, but it takes a lot of cash and new revenue coming in the door to really even get there.
Cash, yes. But the reality is, how do you find them? How do you grow them? How do you develop them? How do you let go of the control? Because, like, I think I've talked to some firms, over the years, and it's like, I don't really trust my team for all the things yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big deal. And is it, you don't trust them to do the work at all, or they trust the way that you do it? And those are big differences. Today's sponsor is Cloud Accountant Staffing. Every firm owner I talk to is asking the same question right now. Should we hire offshore? I'll tell you what we're doing about it. We've hired offshore before, and we're actively working with Cloud Accountant Staffing right now on a couple of roles at Patrick Accounting. The reason we pick them, they take the fear out of it. Disclosure, security, onboarding someone across the world. They've walked tons of firms through it. Their portal is really easy to use. It lets you browse real candidates that are available to hire right now, book interviews yourself. You can have them vet them for you. They help you with the whole process. So head to cloudaccountantsstaffing.com right now. Links in the show notes. I was talking to a firm last week, and it was like, well, what's your ultimate goal? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, he's like, well, do you want to go to, X dollars of revenue or have this many employees? And I said, I love the building part. I don't necessarily know what the finished product I'm trying to get to is, though. And I think there's some firms that are like, I'm at this point where I'm ready to either pull my own hair out, or I need to figure the next step out. And the next big piece for me was I always, like, it's kind of luck. I mean, I hired you as a staff accountant. I hired Kim as a staff accountant. Those are two critical hires that changed our firm dramatically. But when I hired you guys, I had no idea that was what I was hiring.
Because I'm trying to get a body in the seat.
I need to get the
work done.
I have to get the payroll done today, and I can't do all the payrolls today. So here's that. And then, hey, Kim, you're going to do some bookkeeping work, and you were a bookkeeper before, and I've hired you to be a bookkeeper here. And that's kind of where we were. But, over time, and it's also interesting to see how each of y'all's mind shifts have changed since when you first got in. We've all matured, but at the same time, also, like,
a little bit.
Yeah, some things. But, like, the pivot points for you guys was, I mean, I think you came in with a process mindset. Kim came in with a production mindset. And now her flipping that to where she is more thinking on how do I help the team more has been a monumental shift for us other than just for the production. But I can now, say I 100% trust you, I 100% trust Shelby, I 100% trust Kim, Casey, my whole leadership team that's grown up with the firm they're going to operate, all you guys are going to operate way differently than I did. But at the same time, we have a very laser focused goal of where we're trying to, our ultimate goals we're trying to hit.
Yeah.
I think that's true. An ultimate revenue number or we don't have that laser focus, but we have.
Well, that's our goal. Our stated goals are not
a 10-year. We have a 10-year goal we're trying to shoot for. We follow EOS. 10-year goal. We've set that to a 3-year goal, and we're like, okay, this year's goal is this.
Yeah.
What are we doing to hit it?
Yeah.
And then so it's
you got to trust the process that we'll get there. Yeah. John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid in his 21 irrefutable laws, and I think for everybody else on the team, your growth of your own ability to lead and increasing your own leadership lid to the point where you had the maturity to give up some of that control is what allowed other people to step in. Because if you had never done that, then no one would have ever been able to take the reins on anything to get to where we're at today. And that's where I think a lot of firm owners struggle is the mindset of, I don't have the right people on the team to release control. And I think that that's a cop-out. I disagree that the people that you have on your team, Mr. Accounting Firm Owner, aren't able to do the work in the way that you want it done to the quality you want it done all the time. They're not. And give it up anyway.
Yeah, so what?
And I think if we can learn as owners to give up some more control prematurely, because quite frankly, most accounting firm owners that have grown something to a substantial part, they weren't ready for that whenever they took the reins either.
Oh yeah, I've talked about that a lot. I mean, I started the firm when I was 29 out of my house. And to think about if I was 29 again, so my daughter is 23 years old. And I think through that with the lens of in 7 years, would she be able to maybe come into this firm? Like, there is no freaking way because it's not the same animal. I, at 29, could never have run this firm, or I could have, but just really, really poorly. I mean, as I probably still do. But what I think through this in terms of each of you guys' development too, is I think I was probably premature on all of our leaders. Because I was tired and burnt out a little bit. So it was like, okay, please just help me.
It can't suck more than this.
Suck than worse. Yeah. But at the same time, it was, they're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. We have a true trust and honesty and candor to say, when we talked about you starting into our running payroll for me, it was like, I am willing to do that role, but I need to do it my way. And I'm like, sounds great. I don't want to do it at all. So, and then like Kim, she constantly still today will push back on me all the time of, hey, you're overstepping. I'm assuming that's super hard for her to say. And it's something I like 1,000% appreciate.
Yeah, it is hard for her to say. And that's something that I know her and I have talked about over the years is even when that feels uncomfortable, you still have to do it because that's your role.
And I appreciate that. And she's probably nervous about it. I'm going, please, dear God, to tell me.
So I was talking.
I'm a helper by nature, so I'm going to jump in.
I was talking with another firm that just this week, and we were having a conversation around what they're doing on payroll stuff and just operations in general. And I asked them the question. I said, hey, if you had somebody that you trusted on your team that came to you and said, hey, I want to take this on. I want you to give me the authority and to put together a plan, and I want to own this fully. Would that be something you would entertain? And he shoulders went down. I wish somebody would do that. And I think there's a lot of owners out there that are waiting for the person to step up just to say, give me my shot. And if that happens, and you have to have the trust, right? You can only delegate at the speed of trust and competency. But if they have that trust, that owner is going to be willing to at least entertain the conversation of what it looks like.
And they're going to mess it up the first time they try to do it.
Yes.
They're still going to jump in. They're going to still want to grab it. They say they're ready to you say you're ready to get rid of it, but you're really not. As long as everybody's open and honest about that. Hey, I'm probably overstepping here. Yeah, you are. Okay. I'll step away. Or, hey, I would love to help. This is something that interests me. Would you mind me helping you? If those conversations are actually happening, I think it's this is where 1 + 1 = 3 instead of 1 + 1 = 2.
Yep.
I think back early on, when Rick first started with us, I let him run our sales and marketing team. It was really a sales team pretty much by himself. It was because I can't do everything. And when you said, I want to run payroll, that was a big deal for me. It took a lot of, and I could still give you my input, and you never shied away from me saying, hey, I'd like your help. But at the same time, it's been pretty much where I'm like, I trust Mike enough to know he's going to tell me, he's going to raise his hand when something's up. But that's a big barrier of trust that you have to overcome as an owner. I know, in my financial review group, we've had a couple firms in that group that have had the same issue as they're trying to decide who are the right leaders on their team. What roles are they willing to give up right now and which ones are they not? And then I feel like they're probably holding on to too many of the seats because they haven't had that true candidness and candor with that person yet.
Yeah. And they do it
I'm going to mess up, and that's okay.
Yeah. They do it under the disguise of, I don't have the person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you have 100% perfect person. You probably don't, but you have somebody that, given 70% effort, can get it good enough to learn and figure it out to get better along the way.
I think some of the things we did really well early on. We invested in some time you and I went to events together. Me and Kim went to events together. We also did, we did a couple of things. We went to Entrepreneur Leadership together. I thought that was really important for us. It was we haven't really spent a lot of time on this. And I was using a business coach at the time. And it was one of those things where I need to learn how to be a better leader. Like, I need to learn how to run an organization, not be an accountant. And then we went through scaling up. We did that here in town. We've evolved that now to where we're EOS with Scott Smith down in Huntsville. He's an EOS implementer, and he's awesome. But one of those things that we found in all those things is we're still all learning how to be a better leader. And so we still have very much, leadership is a big piece of, the LMA from EOS is a big piece of what we were very intentional about, because now it's about us developing the next round of leaders. And what we found is, as we've done that, it's amazing how often that next leader is stepping up. Yep. So I look at our team leaders now. It's Sandy, and it's Carolyn, and it's, Tara and Melody. Those leaders now are stepping up into that next level. And we had to create the capacity for our leaders to develop the next round of leaders, which gets getting harder and
it's
harder.
Difficult.
It's hard.
It's difficult.
But that's what, are you ready to scale? You cannot scale without having more help than you think.
Yep. You have to have the self-awareness to be able to look at yourself and say, as the leader, am I willing and ready to give up some of the control over how this stuff gets done? And am I able to set clear outcomes of what I'm trying to get done? And if I can do both of those things, then you're ready for that next stair step.
Yep.
But you got to make the plunge.
And I think we've done that really well with creating our framework of how our own culture and language is a very big part of this. We have very clear mission, vision, values that we live and decide and hire and fire and hold accountable to. Everything is kind of through that lens. That creates a very clear framework so that everything else becomes a byproduct. That we've talked about that before, like the umbrella. That umbrella for me is really, it's table stakes, because from there I can say that either fits or it doesn't fit. And it just creates such clarity for me, because I could easily see myself going into a million different directions. But that is a very clear black and white of okay, I have $9 to spend, just like our starting point question this week. It's if this doesn't fit in this rules, I can't do it.
Which gives the guidelines for the people that you're trying to bring up, so that you can go back and listen to. It's probably like episode number 3. We talked about it a long time ago.
The umbrella.
The umbrella is basically our mission and values, because we can't coach, train, proactively teach everything. So, ultimately we try to do as much as we can in that arena, but we have mission and we have values. And as long as you're doing things to meet those things, then you're under the umbrella. You're safe. You're not going to get wet. Nobody's going to come and scream at you, Not that we would do that anyway, but you're not going to get in trouble. But if you're doing something that you think is right for whatever reason, and it's outside of our mission and values, then we're going to have a conversation about it. So it did help. But that was something that we really put in place formally
10 years ago.
Yeah. And that was a little bit over halfway through the journey.
I remember the first time we went to Entrepreneur Leadership and we started writing down it was a mission, vision, values exercise is what we did. It was a boot camp for a day. And I remember the first things we tried to say was I don't really know what my mission, vision, and values are. And then we wrote them down. They're pretty damn close to what they are right now today.
Yeah, they haven't changed much.
We've tweaked them a little bit, but Not really.
The heart of them hasn't really changed.
No,
The language
we
has.
simplified them a little bit, and we've combined some that were redundant, and they really weren't a value that we lived. Like it was, those were like, it's like having honesty and integrity as a value is not a real thing. Cause like those are not that, like
Yeah.
those are absolutes. Like that's not my organization, no different than anybody else's. So that's been pretty fun. As I'm thinking through what we scale is people and a mindset of we have a very clear plan of where we're heading. And once you have that, so that's really in our world, that's our mission. Like, we're going to give small business opportunity to thrive by simplifying financial people complexities. Every person in our office can say that. They can all say our values. And it's not just like, hey, we're going to hand out some money or whatever every time we do an event, but it's really about like, no, we're going to put everything through these lenses. If it doesn't fit that, it's not who we are.
Yep. And I mean, I think that's a good place to end it. At the end of the day, you have to really think about your own ability as a leader. When you think about, are you ready to scale? Is it something that I want to do? Is it something that I'm willing to put up with? And is it something that I, as a leader, can actually grow in to be able to support my organization? If you can't do that, then man, I think you're going to kind of be stuck a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we could have gone off in a lot of different tangent. I mean, like if you were starting your business today, are you scaling it with people? Are you scaling with process or technology? Our business I truly believe our business is a people business. This is a relationship business that we are selling relationships with our clients and with our team. That's our business today. That doesn't mean that's what your business is, but that's our scalable model that we're running. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, thanks, Matt. Good conversation. It's fun to think back, for the past 20 years and where things are today versus where they were. So I appreciate you sharing. And thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure that you click on that like and subscribe button. You're really our only form of marketing. So if you don't do that, then nobody else hears what we have to say. Some of you may be like, nobody else needs to hear what you have to say, but we would appreciate it if you click that like and subscribe button. Help us out. And you'll also make sure that you never, ever miss another episode of the One Step Better Business Podcast. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great day.